Davis, an economist and wealth manager from the City of London. It's good to have you in. Were these figures as surprising to you as they seem to have been to everybody else?
It's hard to take anything from 1 month's figures. Clearly these things are going to go up and down. I think there are two reasons perhaps why we've got a slight reduction in the rate of increase. We certainly haven't had deflation. We've certainly had a reduction in the rate of increase in inflation. It's one, because the economy is dire, so people simply aren't spending as much as they were. We saw retail sales through the floor a couple of days ago. And as it happens in the last few months, sterling rose a bit, so that might have reduced our import costs a little, which would have clearly impacted on retail costs.
Does it vindicate the Bank of England's policy of keeping interest rates as low as possible?
I would say to you that 1 month doesn't vindicate anything. Clearly, their target is 2% inflation, 2% CPI, which I may say is they've singularly failed to achieve in over 2 years. The governor keeps saying that by next year or by 2013 we'll be back to 2% CPI. But he's been saying that for the last 2 years, that he's aiming for 2%. It's going to happen. When's it going to happen, Mr. Governor?
So you're saying they should be increasing interest rates then, even with the economy in the dire state that it is?
Their primary raison d'etre, their primary objective as laid down by government is to control inflation. They should target inflation at 2% CPI. Yes, I think they should raise interest rates. Yes, certainly it would have a dampening effect on the economy in the short term. But on the other side, our import costs would fall because sterling would undoubtedly rise, which means that our standard of living would stay the same even though borrowing costs would rise.
And the other thing to remember, of course, is that the VAT rises, the various sort of tax increases, they've still got to feed into the system as well.
Indeed. And on the other hand, unemployment, I'm afraid, is rising. Clearly the public sector cuts are here. Lending continues to be restricted, so that means there will be a dampening effect on house prices. I think there is a strong balance between the inflationary forces and the deflationary forces, or to be specific, the disinflationary, in other words, reduced inflation. It's a very fine line. But the Bank of England have lost all credibility as far as I'm concerned. Their primary objective, as I may reiterate, is to control inflation. They're singularly failing to do that.
OK, well, they're meeting in May. What do you think they should be doing? Well,
3 Monetary Policy Committee members have voted for increases. I think they should take that to 5. 5 out of 9, they should have an increase in interest rates.
So an increase later in the year shouldn't happen, it should be in May?
It should have been 2 years ago. It should have been last year. It should be as soon as possible, and it shouldn't be just an individual interest rate rise, because that will only have a short-term temporary effect. It should be a sustained rise, and the governor, if they raise rates, they should say, and there's going to be more.
All right, we'll leave it there. Jonathan Davis, it's good to have you. Thank you.